Hello, everyone. I'm Mimi Lichtenstein, and today on Adventures in Luxury Travel, I am very excited to have on Warren Wright. Warren is an expert in all things Kenya, number one. And number two, I'm going to be seeing him next week in Dallas, I just learned. So we're excited. We'll be going to a conference together. Warren was just back from Kenya, so I'm looking forward to hearing his very fresh perspective on how things are going in the country and getting all sorts of good insights from him on safaris and lodges and all that good stuff. So welcome to the show, Warren.
Thank you very much, Mimi. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I know you just went to Kenya a little while ago. Do you want to just give us kind of just a quick overview of what's it like in Kenya right now? Is tourism coming back, and are the safari lodges all open?
Yeah, definitely. Tourism is coming back in a big way in Kenya. I was actually surprised by the amount of people that were traveling, and mainly American markets. I think, with everything being completely open up, all the lodges have opened up, and the parks are back. The staff are so happy to see people. There's just big smiles everywhere. And Kenya is up and ready to go. And COVID numbers are coming down and stabilizing. Everyone's getting vaccinated in the lodges and in the hospitality industry. So Kenya is almost back to where it was.
Awesome. Well, you know that I'm going to be coming to Kenya in July, and I am very excited working with your team to plan my own family safari. So today we'll share with everybody else all of the amazing things to do in this beautiful country, and of course what they're going to see and all the wildlife. Do you want to give us a little bit of an overview? We have a few maps to share. We'll start with the big picture Africa map, and then I'll flip forward from there.
Yeah, so there you go. As you can see, there's Kenya, kind of in the middle of Africa, the continent of Africa. That line that's going through there, that's the equator. So Kenya actually falls within the southern and the northern hemisphere. And to get a size perspective, Kenya is about the size of, a little bit smaller actually than the state of Texas. So that gives you a sort of an idea of the size of Kenya, but an incredibly diverse country nonetheless, with so much stuff that we're going to get into. Along the way there.
And here's a little bit of a zoom. So this is just Kenya. What about, give us a little bit of an idea. What are the big areas that people go to when they come to Kenya?
Okay, so 99.9% of the time you are going to be landing in Nairobi, which is the capital city, sort of based down in the southern part of Kenya, as you can see there by the dot there. And that's the capital city. Nairobi is a great area to stop. We normally recommend about 2 nights there. Most of the flights that come in from the States are, coming in late at night. So you get to your hotel, you get some rest, and then the next day we normally like to do a bit of touring in and around Nairobi. They've got some wonderful sites there to see. There's a elephant orphanage. Karen Blixen, for those of you who don't know, is the movie Out of Africa. Was based on her life. So you go to her actual house. There's a giraffe center for endangered Rothschild giraffe. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to do in and around Kenya, which we normally recommend a day. And also you sort of relax, get ready, and prep for your safari, and you'll head out.
And we'll get into it a little later with the hotels, but there's also one of the most Instagrammable hotels in the world in Nairobi, which we will talk about. One of the most famous parts of Kenya is the Great Migration. You want to tell us a little bit about, we'll flip forward to that one. Sort of, a lot of people think that it's kind of a one-time or a two-time event in, one season and they return the other, but tell us more about exactly how the pattern of the animals works.
So basically, as you mentioned there, the migration is not something that happens once a year or twice a year. It's a constantly evolving, moving group of animals that move from area to area. And what they're doing is they're following the rain, which and therefore is the food. When you've got close to 2 million animals, you obviously need a lot of grazing for them. So they move. As the rains fall, they move and follow the rains. So you can see there, January to March, that's Tanzania down at the bottom there. They're normally down there, and that's when the calving season happens. And so you've got 1.5 million wildebeest all giving birth within 3 or 4 days. It's something incredible to see. So, and then from there they'll hang around there for a few months, and then once the grass starts to be depleted, they move up, and it's sort of in a clockwise circular direction. They go up to the west of the Serengeti, and then April to June they're hanging around there. July they head up to the northern part, and that's when you get those dramatic river crossings. They're crossing the Mara River into Kenya, and then from August to October they hang about in the Masai Mara. 1.5 million wildebeest, close to 800,000 zebras. You've got Thompson's gazelles that are with them, eland. So it's close to 2 million animals just spread out as far as the eye can see over the Masai Mara, and it looks like little ants everywhere. And then then they move down back down on the other side of the Serengeti, ending up down in the south in January again.
And you mentioned they're following the rain and the food for them, but also there are other wildlife that are following them because they're the food for others. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. The predators, that's especially for the crocodiles in the Mara River, they eat once a year. This is their time to shine. The lions are all over the place. They've got young. They're training their young how to, cheetahs, leopards. It's one of the, as it's been described, the greatest show on earth.
Awesome. All right, well, let's dive into a few of the different experiences that you can have around the country. Obviously, safari is the big reason that people come to Kenya. And a lot of people go around in safari vehicles, but Kenya as a country also has places where you can go on walking safaris.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why Kenya is such a great family place, a destination, is because children, although most children that I've guided are extremely engaged, but it's also good to get them out of the vehicles and to go and stretch their legs and do other activities. And so, they've got mountain biking, hiking, horse riding, walking, fly camping, you name it. There is a way to keep active for those people, not just children, but also those people who are worried about sitting in a game vehicle all day. There's lots to do.
And most of my clients are active when they go on vacation. So for me, I love that aspect of it. I also think there's something obviously incredibly special about hopping on the back of a horse and seeing a bunch of giraffe or elephant in front of you, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And the animals, because you're a human on a horse, they don't see it as a human. So you can actually get a lot closer to the wildlife. They're a lot less spooked by the horses than they are by humans walking up to them.
Yeah. And mountain biking. I go mountain biking a lot personally, and we live in a place in New Hampshire and northern New England where there are a lot of mountain bikers, but certainly the scenery is completely different than it might be in Kenya. A lot more exciting animals to see where you are.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then, so tell us, what is this an example of with this child?
I mean, this is an example of the family, families coming to Africa and worried about their children that are going to be engaged, things like that. And it's another aspect that Kenya is amazing for. And I'm sure a lot of people will recognize the Masai and the Samburu warriors. And this is part of the culture aspect of Kenya, is they have an amazing cultural history with some of the most interesting tribes in Africa, the Maasai warriors and the Samburu, both Nilotic-speaking people from Africa. And I must say, the guides and the staff are just incredible in the way that they engage with the children. It's not like a duty for them. They actually love teaching them about their culture. So here we've got one of my guests, and he's being taught how to shoot a bow and arrow. So we stopped for drinks, and they set up a target, and our guide is now showing them how to shoot a Maasai bow and arrow. It's just wonderful experiences for the kids, and they really get involved and engaged in it.
I love it. And, it's a very interactive way to learn about the culture, right? Some people go on trips and it's more of just like an observation, but these people are, like you said, warmly welcoming you into the ability for them to teach you about their history and how they live their lives. So,
yeah, exactly.
The food.
Yeah, not what you'd expect to see on an African presentation, but I think the perception is people think they're going to come and lose weight in Africa. and you'll be very surprised by the amount of food that you eat. It's almost too much food sometimes. You wake up in the morning, you have something with your coffee, then you go on a game drive and you stop in the middle of somewhere and you have breakfast, and you come back and there's brunch, and then there's afternoon tea, and then there's dinner and snacks, and the food is of a really good standard. And those people, they're worried about dietaries and, oh, I'm celiac, they won't be able to accommodate me. We get all sorts of dietary requirements, and the lodges and everybody who works at the lodges have seen it all and very well prepared for it. So food will not be an issue coming to Africa, especially Kenya. Amazing food.
I love both of these pictures for those people who are listening first. The first one is an example of what it's like just eating out on the terrace, perhaps at your lodge, with these stunning views of the mountains and the vast plains and the wildlife. And then the other one is a cheeseburger with onion rings on top of it. So, if you have picky kids, there'll still be plenty of food for them to eat. And I think for people who are coming to Africa, who maybe never thought of it like this, you're also going, like you said, you're going out and about and having meals in other places. So here is a beautiful example of a picnic set up on some rocks high above the plains, which would be obviously just a magical place to have lunch.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the lodges love to do these kind of little surprises for you, where you never know when it's going to happen, but all of a sudden you come around a corner and there's this beautiful picnic laid out for you, and you and your family have lunch with giraffes and zebras and elephants all watching you from a safe distance. Yeah, it's quite spectacular.
And spectacular. Yep, that's a good word. And I think also for people who've never been on safari, who don't know much about the sundowner culture, that the sundowner culture is, alive and well throughout safari camps in Africa, and probably the highlight of many people's day. I think this one is from Richard's camp, actually. But, they have them in different places and riverbeds, on, hills. Would you say, do you have any favorite sundowners from all your different experiences in Kenya?
In Kenya, I think, it also depends on what's around at your sundowner spot. We've had our sundowner parties crashed by lions or elephants. You'll be standing around this or sitting down, watching the sun go down over the plains. And your guide will politely come and say, guys, I think it's time we get back into the vehicle. There's a pride of lions moving through the area, so everyone with gin and tonic in hand, stumbling back onto the vehicle, and there you go. There's some lions walking through, and it's just sort of, those kind of moments are special, and they happen often, not with lions, but with, elephants and zebras and giraffes coming to investigate and see what's happening. And, just special moments.
Right. And no one's going to complain if you have to move because a herd or a pride of lions is moving in. Tell us a little bit about this picture of the people dancing, and what's this about?
Yeah, so this was on my recent trip now. And when we talk about culture, we've got to be really careful about how we do it. The Maasai are a very proud people, and we don't want our guests or the local community to feel like they're being put on show. So cultural visits, we avoid the mainstay areas, where people are getting dressed up and they don't actually even live in that village, and it's like a setup. We will put people in authentic experiences where there are real villages, and it's done in a very tasteful way so that no one feels uncomfortable, especially the local community and especially the guests. And so here, they came out and greeted us, and as I said, they're very proud and they want to teach people their culture. So we've got a young girl there who's being taught by one of the Masai women, and then on the left hand side of the screen we've got one of the young boys. I think he's 14, 15, and he's being taught by one of the Masai warriors how to jump. And that's basically their dances. They have jumping competitions, and the higher you jump, the more powerful you are.
Love it. And then this is just a photo, and at the end we'll put on a video of the wildebeest migration. Just imagine this, right? Magnified by, 1 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. So I took that shot there was probably about 3,000 wildebeest that crossed within 10 minutes. And at that specific time, there was about, I would say, close to 300 wildebeest in the water. And you just sort of point your camera and shoot away, and hopefully you can get something like that. Yeah, it's just an incredible, incredible experience.
It's and it's just so, different than anything obviously we would see over here. But wildebeest aren't the only thing in Kenya. Kenya is obviously known for, the big five and other beautiful animals. So as we flip through some of these pictures, maybe I'm assuming you might have taken many
Yes,
of these photos, but
yeah, most of these photos that are here on the presentation were taken just recently on my last trip. So there's cheetah, Kenya, because it's big open plains. That's how cheetah love to hunt. They're fast animals. Kenya is one of the best places to see cheetah. They're actually very endangered, but Kenya has a very healthy population of them. So if you're interested in seeing the cheetahs, great place to do it. And having said that as well, rhinos as well. Rhinos, Kenya, one of the best places to go. And we have, I mean, this is, you wake up, you've just had your coffee, you drive 10 minutes out of the lodge, and you're greeted with the lions getting ready for the day, and mom sort of, pushing her cubs along and making sure that they are behaving. I love the intensity of the look in her eyes as she's watching those babies.
Is there a particular time of year where they're having their cubs similar to the wildebeest?
No, so lions basically just have cubs any time of the year.
Okay.
So there's no real set time of the year. It all depends on lion politics.
Okay.
Male lion comes in and takes over. He will mate with those females, so that can happen any time of the year.
Okay, got it. Not always at their choice, probably either.
Yeah.
So you and I both love this very classic photo. I did a show on hiking Mount Kilimanjaro a couple weeks ago, which is on many people's bucket lists. But if you're in Kenya, you can go out and see elephants and giraffes with the beautiful mountain in the background.
Yeah, I mean, that is the iconic Mount Kilimanjaro in the background with the big elephant tusker in the foreground. A lot of people think that Kilimanjaro is actually in Kenya. As we both know, it's not. But the way they market Kilimanjaro, Kenya, is that it's the best place to see Mount Kenya from the ground. And I fully agree with them. That kind of view you don't actually get in Tanzania. You can hike it in Tanzania, It's fantastic, but to get that view, that's pretty special. And that's in the south east part of Kenya, and that's away from the Masai Mara National Park in an area called the Amboseli Chulu Hills area. And fantastic area. Not as busy as the Masai Mara, but still an amazing amount of wildlife in that region, and known for its genetics of the big tusker elephants, some of the last left in the world. Elephants with their tusks so large that they're still dragging on the ground, which is obviously you don't get that much anymore.
No.
So, an incredible area.
They're absolutely beautiful. Obviously, you don't have to be a fabulous photographer to get great pictures in Kenya or on safari for them. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So this is so sweet. Picture of an elephant orphanage.
That's correct. Yeah, there's 2 elephant orphanages, the 2 main ones in Kenya. This one was taken in Nairobi at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. Nairobi has a national park in its. It's like one of the only cities in the world with a national park. Less than, I think it's 5 miles from the CBD.
Yeah.
So it's quite a strange place, but you've got this wildlife orphanage in here, and they do an incredible amount of work in rescuing these orphans that have either, their mothers have been killed by poachers, or they've fallen into wells or muddy water holes and been stuck and can't be reignited with their families. Then the Wildlife Trust takes them in, and you can go and visit. And they don't encourage people feeding them, because these elephants are going to be reintroduced back into the wild. So their handlers are basically their mothers. So that man over there, that'll be their mother. They sleep with them. when they first arrive in the nursery. They lie in a little shed with them,
Oh,
cover them with blankets. So yeah, it's a really beautiful experience.
amazing. Well, we're actually going there on our first day in Nairobi as well. So,
You will.
and then, this looks almost like a little bit like we're in the Sahara Desert. Tell us a little bit about some of the other, topography in Kenya.
Exactly. So when you talk about off the beaten track, and this photo is to just highlight the diversity of the country. This is up in the northern part of Kenya, the Suguta Valley. There's not many lodges and things out there, but in terms of going for a helicopter excursion for the day and flying up there, that's a real luxurious treat. And just to get an idea of a completely different landscape. And yeah, it's just, I've been there once or twice before. It really is off the beaten track. There's not much up there, but an incredible experience if you want to spoil yourself. Do a helicopter excursion up there.
Well, we always love talking about over the top things, and oftentimes they involve helicopters. So it's nice to know that that's an option in Kenya. Would you say, so if you're going to take a helicopter somewhere in Kenya, is this one of, your favorite places to go? Or are there a few? I mean, a lot of times people also go up and they're looking at the wildlife from above as well, which would be also an incredible experience.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, so the helicopter experiences I would definitely recommend is doing this one up to northern Kenya. You could do the Suguta Valley, or you could do Lake Turkana, where there's huge amounts of flamingos. It's a saline lake. There's pink lakes with the algae. You could also do a helicopter excursion up to the sides of Mount Kenya and go trout fishing for the day. Have a picnic lunch halfway up Mount Kenya, which is the second highest mountain in Africa. And then be back in the lodge in the afternoon for your game drive. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of doing wildlife viewing from a helicopter, it's not really allowed in the national parks and that. Okay. And they are trying to limit that. But if you want to fly over the animals, the hot air balloon is the way to go.
That was next on the list. Yes. I think, we have a picture of the lake with the flamingos. And then also tell us a little bit about this for those who are listening. It's a picture of, I guess, an old biplane. Tell us a little bit about this one.
So for those of you who have seen the movie Out of Africa, you might recognize that. That is a replica of Robert Redford's plane. That was used in the movie. This is a place called Saguerro Retreat, which is in the Laikipia region, which is sort of northwest of Nairobi. And it's a beautiful place. The wildlife is good, but it's not the main focus there. There's so many different activities. You can watch the movie Out of Africa in a room while you're having dinner with props from the movie. It's just, really different experiences. So it's not all about wildlife, as you say. I mean, there's a lot more to offer.
And I think one of the things that we both love to do is to share information on movies and books and, music about the places that our clients are going to be traveling. And so if somebody hasn't seen Out of Africa, it's obviously a good one to watch before you go there. And my favorite, star beds. I'm always looking for star beds in every country. We're going to be sleeping in a star bed when we're in Kenya. This one happens to be, reminds me of like a Muppet character with like crazy hair on top. Tell us where this one is.
Yeah, so that's called the Bird's Nest at Seguero Retreats as well, the same place with the biplane. And you'll see on the Muppets hair, you sleep on the top there, outside, under the deck, under the stars. And you can have a whole family up there, because if you look below where the lights are, under the bird's nest, there's actually a room inside there. So for whatever reason, if someone gets scared or too cold or they can't sleep or it's raining, you can shoot downstairs and you've got a beautiful little tree house that you can sleep in under there as well. But as you say, I mean, star beds, tree houses, it's one of the best ways to experience a night out in Africa. And the noises and the stars, it's just, you can't describe it. You have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite things, even if someone's going to Italy, France, Spain, a more mainstream type place, is to find some unconventional accommodation, because if you're going with your kids, staying in a place like this, right, is just like magical for those guys. So,
Oh, lifetime memories. Yeah, they'll remember that all through their life.
absolutely. Okay. Well, so safari lodges have a big impact on your experience, not only because you're sort of based out of there for the wildlife that's nearby, but also because they're very different. I talked about with Dylan how some of them, are more of the traditional tented camps. Some of them are a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more established. Some have outdoor showers, some have their own plunge pools, all sorts of different ones. So let's flip through some of the favorites. So we're going to start in Nairobi at Hemingway's, which is actually where my family is going to be staying. And I chose this picture because people might think, oh, I'm going to Nairobi, I'm going to be staying in like, an urban hotel right downtown, crowds, traffic, and all of that. But you can see from this picture, it's not like that at all.
No, not at all, as you mentioned. So it's about 45 minutes drive from the airport, and you are outside of the city. It's in an area called Karen, after Karen Blixen. And that view there, the first line in the book from Out of Africa is, I had a farm in Africa at the foot of the Ngong Hills. And that view from your room is the Ngong Hills. So as you say, yeah, you don't feel like you're in the city at all. Big, beautiful gardens, lovely spa, great restaurants, great cocktails, to relax.
They have
A
a
swimming
pool.
pool, a gym, and a spa. Yep.
Okay. All the good stuff that you need before you go on safari. And then we touched on this earlier. If people are on Instagram, maybe in your lifetime, you've probably seen this or another similar photo of Giraffe Manor. Tell us a little bit about Giraffe Manor.
Giraffe Manor. Yeah, Giraffe Manor is, as you mentioned, it's one of those places that I think most people will have seen photographs, even if they didn't know they were looking at Giraffe Manor.
Yeah.
It's always been a popular place, but then Portia de Rossi and Ellen DeGeneres stayed there, and it blew up since then. I mean, yeah, it's incredible. Just a word of warning: if this is going to be the highlight of your trip and something that you want to plan a trip around, we highly recommend that you plan 2 years in advance, because you cannot, for love or money, get space unless you give us enough lead time. Literally 2 years. We're actually booking 3 years at the moment for some clients, because that's what they want to do.
Because
it's just so popular.
Yeah, and they either themselves or they have children who would like to have a photo similar to this one, where they're feeding giraffes out of their hand as they're sitting in a window. So
correct. And another thing to note about this is, there are certain, another good thing about booking so far in advance is that we can book you the rooms, not all the rooms. So what the photographs that you're seeing here are all in the breakfast dining room area. There are certain rooms where you can wake up and you're still in your pajamas, and it's on the second floor, but the giraffes stick their heads into your room and you can feed them from the comfort of your room. So if you give enough time, we can get those exact rooms, and we know which are the right rooms to book, and get those rooms for you, which are highly sought after.
And that's one of the reasons I love working with you, because, all my partners in every country, they know the best rooms. They know the rooms with the view, the rooms where the giraffes stick their head in the window, key information like that. And obviously you were just in Kenya. So it's nice also that you guys are there and present so much. So a place that might have been in great shape 3 years ago might not be in great shape today. And so to have you guys there as our, feet on the ground, getting that very current knowledge is always super helpful. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
I love this photo. I don't know. There's so many photos I love, but sitting outside on your terrace in your camp, looking out at this view would be just stunning.
Yeah, this is Batalia Camp, which is one of our favorites. It's in the Masai Mara. And so the thing to remember with the Masai Mara is you get the area, which is the national park, which is open to the public, and bordering that, sort of north of Masai Mara, are the conservancies. Now, there's no fences or anything. It's all open. But the conservancies offer a little bit more freedom and a little bit more privacy. there's not as many lodges on the conservancies. You're allowed to go off-road on the conservancies. You're allowed to drive at night on the conservancies, and you're allowed to walk on the conservancies. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. It is further away from the river crossings, but that is a beautiful day's drive. You spend the day, you have a picnic lunch on the plains of the Masai Mara, and you get back to your camp just before the sun goes down. It's you can still experience both.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Batalia Camp also has a pool, I think a lap pool actually. So for those people who want to get some exercise, I know some people who are active think that they're just going to go on safari and sort of sit in the vehicle every day. We touched on that a little bit, but many camps, not all, have fitness centers, or they have a lap pool in this case, where you can get exercise on the property, even if you can't go wandering around in lion territory.
Correct, yeah. And Batalia offer a gym in a bag, so there's there's some equipment there for you to do a workout on your deck,
or yoga.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No mats.
Okay, and then Richard's River Camp. This is clearly a traditional sort of tented camp.
Very much so. So this, as we were mentioning earlier, you get all different kinds of accommodations. This is a luxury tent. When we say tent, please don't think of it as a little tent that's been pitched up. It's a permanent fixture. It's got a ensuite bathroom with flushing toilets and lights and carpets and beds and all the comforts you could wish for, just encased in a canvas tent. And the beauty of Richard's is that you can see there's a little river there. So you've got hippos as well, and they come out at night onto the lawn. You can watch the hippos, but you can also hear the hippos at night when you're sleeping. And it's this beautiful rumbling sound. And, you really, in a tent, for me, I might be a bit biased, but that's my favorite kind of accommodation, because I can hear, I can smell everything that's happening outside there. And Richard's is a beautiful camp. Beautiful family rooms as well. Really great family camp.
Love it. Okay, so Mara Plains is one of the Relay and Chateau properties in Kenya. And I don't know are there many Relay and Chateaus in Kenya? I know there are several in Africa, but is this the only one?
I would have to double check. I think there is
maybe one other. There aren't that many.
The Aldonio is as well.
It's Relay and Chateau.
Yes.
Well, I think, and we're going to see that one in a minute. Obviously Relay and Chateau has a reputation that you're going to get fed really, really well. You're going to get fed really well at all of these, but for people who love Relay and Chateau properties, Mara Plains is one of them. Tell us a little bit about this. It has a little bit more of a traditional feel to the decor and the furniture in the room.
Yeah, correct. So Mara Plains is part of the Great Plains portfolio, which is run by Derek and Beverly Jabber. They do amazing work. And their biggest thing is to reclaim all these areas, reintroduce wildlife, and benefit the local communities. Mara Plains is one of their flagship camps in Kenya. It's in a beautiful conservancy north of the Masai Mara. There's only 5 other lodges on this huge conservancy. So you have amazing wildlife sightings there. There's good leopard, good lion, good elephant. As you mentioned, so some of the lodges are contemporary, some of the lodges are going back to an older time, especially in Kenya, which was sort of the origin of safari as we know it. Kenya was one of the first places where people came to do either hunting or to come and experience wildlife. And so Kenya, a lot of that theme is celebrated in a lot of the lodges, where it's that old-timey golden era kind of phase.
Well, it's funny. I was talking with my mom the other day, who reminded me that my grandparents went to Kenya long ago. I haven't heard the exact year yet, but I'm guessing it was before she was born. So we're talking like, the first half of the 19th century. The 20th century. And she still has some of the Maasai warriors that they bought when they were over there. So she's going to send them to me to put on my shelf.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so fun. And just imagine the difference, right? Going on safari back in the 40s, right? Versus now. Like, what a huge difference.
I mean, can you imagine driving around in those old vehicles?
No, or even the
No
accommodation
words.
and the transportation, just everything, right?
Exactly.
Helicopters, not,
No,
obviously
not an
an
option.
option. All right, so Angamamara is one of the places we're staying. I think it's the last place we're staying. So usually we try and save the best for last. You could see from this photo, part of the reason why it's spectacular. Tell us a little bit about Angamamara.
So Ngamamara is the CEO is Nikki Fitzgerald, and she's been designing lodges and building lodges for probably about 30 years in Africa, and this is her baby, her own one that she owns. It's built up on the Ulululu, I know that's the real word, escarpment, and it overlooks the Masai Mara. So you are actually out of the national park, so you can do walks on the top there, all that type of thing. It is one of the most breathtaking views. You can sit on your porch with a set of binoculars and look down at the Mara and be entertained for hours because you'll constantly be spotting things. It is a beautiful property, great food. There you go. I mean, that's your fire pit in the main lodge area where you can go and have your sundowners and chat to other guests, and everyone brags about what they saw. And it's it's a lovely lodge, beautiful atmosphere, very well decorated. The rooms are spacious. It is a great property, fantastic property.
I think this picture alone, I actually put this picture on my newsletter this week because this picture alone would make me want to go there, right? Just picture yourself sitting around the fire after a beautiful day on a game drive with a cocktail in your hand, just talking with your family and other people that you meet all about the adventures that you're going on. It just seems perfect.
Exactly, and I can almost smell that firewood as well. That's
Yeah,
also
so
one of the
beautiful.
beauties.
Okay, but there's more beautiful pictures. So here's a photo of Sarara. Tell us a little bit about Sarara Camp.
Sorora is also one of our really, really favorite camps, and it's off the beaten track. It's up in North Kenya, on Namunya Conservancy, and there's not much, there's not that many other lodges around there. It's always a great place to go from Nairobi up to Sorora. The wildlife is good. It's not Masai Mara good, but you're not going there for the wildlife. It's more the cultural activities. So this northern part of Kenya is Samburu land. So your guides are Samburu. You can do an amazing, and Samburus are semi-nomadic. So they'll come and go off the conservancy and they set up their homesteads. You can go and do 100% authentic visits to them. There's no frills or anything like that. It's full on. It's amazing to see, and it's not put on. And it's a really, really authentic experience that I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They also have something called the Singing Wells on this property. And this is normally around about, I would say, mid-August, going into October is the best time to visit to see this phenomenon. And what it is northern Kenya is desert. It's very dry. And Samburu, to them, their cattle is everything. Their cattle is their riches. So what they do is they'll go into the riverbed on this property and they will start digging holes. And as the drier season progresses, they have to dig further and deeper into this riverbed to get water. So if you go around about August, you've got maybe 6 or 7 men standing on top of each other, shoulders. There's a guy at the bottom of this well, and he's pulling up a bucket, and then they're handing it up to each other and pouring it onto a trough by their hole. The reason it's called the Singing Wells is there's probably 60 different wells that are being dug, and everybody has now congregated. So there's thousands of cattle running around, and what each guy does is they sing a song, a family song that their cattle recognize. So when the cattle come, they hear the family song and they will go to that watering hole and make sure that they drink from their owner's watering hole. It's an incredible experience, very unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's not photographed because most of the men will strip down naked. So it's never photographed. It's done very respectfully. You sit back and you just watch and take it all in. And it's been going on for hundreds of years.
Mm.
And Samara, it's one of those unique places. that you can go and view this tradition.
Amazing. Now, I know from other trips that the complicated part is you never really know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, depending on the weather and all of that. So it's something that you can't necessarily, you could say you want to go do it, but it's one of those things where it might work out and it might not. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can't predict the rainfall each year, so and it all depends on rainfall and how much rain is about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you're lucky enough, or just another excuse to go back to Kenya or on safari multiple times, I think, right?
Exactly.
And I love, so Sorara is a small camp, and most of these camps that we're talking about are really small camps, right? 6 tents, 10, maybe 20. But the nice thing is that they're not really places where big groups come through. So you won't be in your tent with a couple other people, and then there's a group of, 20 others who are all together traveling with you. So that's one of the reasons we really like working with these small camps. And so here's a picture of Sirikoi, another tented camp. Tell us a little bit about Sirikoi.
So Sirikoi is on a conservancy called Leewa Conservancy. This is an incredible conservancy. As I was talking earlier, if you want to see rhino, Kenya is the place to come. Rhinos plight, they are being taken out daily. So it's a highly endangered animal, but the Leewa Conservancy has done such an amazing job in protecting these animals. So Sirikoi sits in an oasis within the Leewa Conservancy. Animals are free to roam in and out of the property, except for elephants. So it's been fun. I've been going there for the last 8 years, and it's been fun watching them come up with new inventions on how to stop the elephants from coming in. But yeah, it is an amazing camp. It's got a swimming pool. It's got a family villa. It's a separate house, comes with its own chef, comes with its own game vehicle. And then they've got a family house, which is 3 bedrooms, which is nice for a group of 6 traveling or a family traveling. The same thing. You get your own chef, you get your own vehicle, and yeah, off you go. And you go and see those rhinos.
And like many, they all have their own private deck, like you can see here. This one happens to have super comfortable looking chairs that you could sit out and watch all of these wildlife coming through camp. There's another one in the same conservancy, I think, the Leewa Wilderness Camp. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Yep, that's correct. And as you can see, they're very much a tented experience in a different part of the Leewa Conservancy. And when you're talking about ranges, I mean, Leewa Wilderness, in terms of value for money, is an incredible property. You get to, as you can see, the accommodations are perfect. You're in a tent. You can hear the noises. You can smell the Africa. Hear the sounds. It's just one of those beautiful properties. Also very small. I think only 12 units. Great family unit as well. And offering a whole bunch of other activities. Walking.
I was going to say, right? Don't they have horseback riding and camel riding here? It would be so fun.
Correct. So they also offer what they call walking wild. So you can go and spend a few nights at the lodge, and then you can do a camel trek, where you basically take your whole camp on the backs of camels and you walk within the Leewa Conservancy. And you'll set up, it's called fly camping. You've basically got a little dome tent that's like a mosquito net, and you sleep out under the stars. And you can do that for 2 or 3 nights, just walking amongst the wilderness with the Masai guides, learning a lot about not only the animals, but the plants, the insects, how the whole ecosystem works. An amazing adventure for kids and for adults.
Oh, absolutely. And, just to be able to have that change of pace where you're really out camping, if you're people who can do that, but yeah, you'll be able to come back, and hang out at this more traditional camp later in the day. It would be a fun idea, particularly with kids. Then we have Loisaba, another spectacular photo of a beautiful sunset from a terrace that you could sit on and have your cocktail. Tell us a little bit about Loisaba.
The Loisaba is also sort of in the Laikipia area, which is northwest of Nairobi. And it's one of those places where you can also do a whole bunch of activities. Fantastic wildlife, but they also offer mountain biking, horse riding, walking, cultural visits. You can go and visit a Masai village there, and they've got a really nice one. Nothing that's put on a really authentic experience. And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but they also do offer the Loisaba star beds, which I'm sure you know very well.
I was going to introduce it that way. I love the star beds. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so Loisaba star beds. It's on the same property. You do a game drive out there, and they've got these beautiful rooms, all open. There's no walls or glass or anything. It's under a thatch roof, and you've got this four-poster bed. And what you can do with this four-poster bed is it's on wheels, and they push it out onto this open deck, and your bed is on the open deck, and you sleep out on the deck on a kopi overlooking, pretty much very similar to that, actually just a little bit higher up, and you've got this beautiful view down on the valley. Yeah, and as we've said before, sleeping out under the stars is a magical experience.
And I think that's what, one of the reasons that I chose for my kids their first safari, Kenya, because as we keep saying, there's so much to do beyond just the game drives, and there's so many ways to be active and engage with the culture. East Africa in particular just has so much culture in Tanzania and in Kenya that it's a great place to bring young, old children, or quite frankly, just adults. There's just the reminder of the Muppet Head nest photo at Saguerro. Such a beautiful.
I'm now going to refer to it as the Muppet.
It does. I don't remember which Muppet it's reminding me of, but it's reminding me of a Muppet. I think that they also have like some outdoor bathtubs too at Saguerro. Is that correct? Do you know?
Yes, they do. So Saguerro, they offer it's called Saguerro Retreats, and that's exactly what it is. And you were just mentioning, if you're doing, for people that, the wildlife and the game drives will engage most people, but for some people they may need a break, and Seguero Retreat is that exactly. It's a beautiful, beautiful property. They offer, 1-bedroom suites. They've got a house which can accommodate 6 to 8 people, I believe. There's a villa as well, but they're all so far away from each other that you will never really see anybody. They make sure that your lunch is just you, your family, and you eat in a different place every single day. Your dinner's in a different place, your lunch is in a different place. They have an incredible art gallery, a Zeitz art gallery there. So all African artists come and put their work up there, so you can go through the art gallery. The food is incredible. They also offer, wildlife anti-poaching. You can go out with the anti-poaching team, and you can be the poacher for the day. And basically, you go with the guy and you run off, and then the dogs will track you and come and find you. So there's a whole bunch of activities to do, and it's just a really incredible place to just stop, take it all in, do something different, and then continue or end your safari there as well once you've seen all 5 and done all the things that you wanted to do.
I think the beauty of many of these places, so all of these high quality lodges are into sustainability and conservation efforts, and that's a big chunk of the money that you're spending to go there is spent on those things. But in addition, some people are interested in that personally, and some people maybe not as much. So if you have kids or your family is very interested in sustainability or how the anti-poachers work, these are things that with advanced conversations with the lodge, they can kind of create some activities and create some experiences that will allow your kids to learn more and sort of have some hands-on learning about these aspects of what it's like to run a lodge in Kenya.
Yeah, exactly. And sustainability it's always been a part of the culture here. I think people are just becoming more aware of it now worldwide. They want to travel and not just take something back with them, like memories. They also want to contribute on their travels. And there's all sorts of activities and things that we can get involved with within the local communities to enrich everyone's experience and lives.
Yeah. I love this photo. So for people who have never been on safari, this is a hide, which I guess is essentially what it sounds like. It's a place where you hide and you can watch the animals further from camp. This is one in Oldonyo. Do you have any favorite hides? I mean, all camps don't have hides, but some of them do. Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, I mean, Oldonyo, when you say hide, and in terms of Kenya, Oldonyo, they actually have two. That one is the open one, and if you walk down that path and to the right, there's a bunker, which is sort of right next to it, and there you can take photographs and that. So Oldonyo has definitely got the hide thing down. The nice thing about it is you don't need anyone to escort you there. So you walk from the lodge in the afternoons. You normally do your game drive in the morning, come back, have lunch, and there's that siesta time where it's too hot to do anything. The animals are all hiding in the bushes and resting and relaxing. And so humans do the same thing. So for those of you who, don't want to just read a book or relax, you can walk down to the hide, grab a drink, and watch the passing show.
Right. Instead of Nat Geo, you just sit there and just watch what walks by.
Exactly.
Another beautiful, I'll just kind of flip through these last few, but another beautiful camp at Tortillas. That looks like, again, this almost looks like it's the golden hour, the glow that's coming into to this tent from the afternoon sun. And then let's just loop around to Nairobi. Eden, I know, is a new hotel, which some of my colleagues have been to. What do you think of Eden?
So basically during COVID, it was called 138, and then Anna Trzebinsky took it over. It was always hers, and she's now turned it into Eden. I still haven't been to go and see it, but I know 138. It's a very quiet little property. It's very close to Giraffe Manor, and beautiful gardens set away from everything. Great place to arrive, get over jet lag, relax, and very peaceful. Beautiful gardens.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're going for more of the oasis feel, as compared to somewhere like Giraffe Manor, where you might not show up and feel like you're in the middle of an oasis, right? Yeah. You feel like you're in the middle of New York City, but with giraffes. That if you're certainly a couple, right, this would be a great stop in Nairobi.
Absolutely, yeah, without a doubt.
So let's talk about, before we finish up, some of the takeaway tips. I always like to tell people some tips. I think your point about Giraffe Manor was a very good one. If you want to go to Giraffe Manor, plan ahead 2+ years in advance, particularly for high season. What about seasonality in terms of what are the best times to come to Kenya?
Okay, so East Africa, and that's Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, they have 2 rainy seasons a year. You've got the long rains, which is in March to May. I would avoid those months. And then the short range, which is in October to December. And that's normally, an hour in the late afternoon it rains. But March to May, I wouldn't really go there. It's just, it's too much. The Great Migration, if you want to see the Great Migration, and that's a major factor for you, then August to October, they are in the Masai Mara. And you get to see sites like that, river crossings, if you're lucky.
And I'm going to put it on in the background, by the way, while we're going. Okay. There you go. We're not going to listen to them, although they're fun to listen to, but we'll just play that while we recap everything. Yeah, so imagine here's the Great Migration happening. I don't see any hippos or crocodiles eating the wildebeest, though.
No, that was one of the cleanest crossings I've ever seen. I think everybody made it through safe and sound. No crocodiles got lunch that day. But just getting back to that. So August to October in the Masai Mara, that's when the migration will be there. Mm-hmm. And also takeaways, you can combine. You could spend weeks in Kenya alone, but you can also combine it with other countries that are nearby. So a gorilla tracking experience in Rwanda, that's very possible. Mm-hmm. Or if you are really keen and you want to guarantee, and I hate to use that word, the migration, you could do a combination of Tanzania and Kenya, mm-hmm. where you go into the Serengeti, and if they're in the Serengeti, you'll see them. If not, you go over to Kenya, and they'll be in Kenya, and you'll see them. So you can combine Tanzania and Kenya quite easily as well.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the coastline and fishing and doing, you know, scuba diving and that sort of thing. Obviously, Kenya has a coastline. It isn't, it's easy. The Seychelles are over in that direction as well. What would you say about people who also want to do something on the coast? Is it worth going to the coast of Kenya?
You know, if people want to, but they don't want the hassle of going to a different country and going through immigration, and, you know, who knows with COVID at the moment, that requires an extra test or whatever. So Kenya does have a beautiful coastline, and it's excellent for fishing. Also, around about September, October, marlin, sailfish, game fish like tuna, dorado, that type of thing. Big, beautiful white beaches, great snorkeling. But I mean, the States, you guys have an amazing area as well. So it's not a highlight, but it is something that if somebody wants to do and to relax after their safari, it is definitely doable. Mombasa, Diani Beach springs to mind when we're talking about coastal areas in Kenya.
Okay, great. Well, so fun. Again, so many beautiful, inspirational pictures, so many fun things to see. Obviously, tremendous wildlife. And it's just there waiting for us all to get back to it again. So thank you so much for sharing that all with us today. I love having these conversations and learning new things every time I talk to you guys. So thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to seeing you next week in Dallas.
Yes, on your turf.
Absolutely. We clearly will not have the kind of animals, but we'll make sure you have a good time regardless.
Looking forward to it, Mimi.
All right.